Okay, so here we have the pillar drill, and we're going to be talking through this today to make sure that you know exactly how to use this. I might need to move the camera about at some point, so it might be a bit jittery, so just bear with me when it comes to that. Now the main thing is, whenever we need to work on the pillar drill, the first thing we do when we approach the pillar drill is we make sure that it's turned off at the wall. So you've got your yellow and red switch at the back there. You just make sure it's turned off so that you know that it's safe to start changing the height of the table, or to change the drill bit and stuff like that, which I'll explain in a wee minute. Okay, so this obviously is the pillar drill, sometimes referred to as the pedestal drill. And on this we have got an adjustable table. So this is our table here, and we can adjust the height of that, so we can move it down or we can raise it upwards. And the way that we do that, on the left hand side, we've got a wee handle on the left hand side, and at the moment that's nice and tight because the table's nice and tight and in place. So we want to loosen that off first of all, and then to adjust the height of the table itself, what we can do is we can come to the right hand side and we can adjust the height on the right hand side. So you'll see that that is obviously coming up towards the chuck up here at the moment. If we wanted it up at that height, we would then tighten it in place on the left hand side as well, but for just now we don't want to do that. I'm just going to take this back down for a wee second so that I can show you the next bit. So that's obviously the table there. We've then got the adjusting handle as well. So we've got the handle up at the top here, and we would take that down, pulling that downwards in order to be able to drill into wood. Now our drill would normally sit in here, and this bit here is called the chuck. So that's where our drill bit would normally be in order for us to be able to use the handle to bring the drill down. Now I've got a wee electric hand drill here just now, just to try and show you how the jaw works inside the chuck. So it's called a 3-jaw chuck, and hopefully as I turn that you should be able to see these 3 wee bits inside here, and they're actually getting closer together as I tighten that. And what happens as you tighten it, if you've got a drill bit in there, it'll obviously tighten up and hold the drill bit in place, or you loosen it off so that you can actually take the drill bit out or put the drill bit in. So I'll show you that just now. So if I wanted to put this 6mm drill bit in, I would need to make sure that the gap was wide enough, so I need to open that up in order to be able to put the drill bit in place and then tighten that up again. I'm just making sure it's nice and tight. So that's obviously the electric hand drill. The chuck in here is exactly the same, it's just sitting at a different angle, and you just can't see the 3 wee jaws inside it. So what you need to do is you just need to feel and make sure that you get the drill bit right in the centre of the chuck, and then you've got the wee tightening bit here, so you just tighten that up until that's going to hold it in place for you. Now the only thing is it's just holding and no more. I've not properly tightened it up, and what I now want to do is hold on to the top piece here and this bit, and I want to turn in opposite directions, so my hand is going like that. So one hand is going anti-clockwise, one hand is going clockwise in order to tighten this up. So I've tightened that up to make sure it's nice and secure. So that's obviously the drill bit in place. If I wanted to drill a hole in this piece of wood, so you can see that I've got it marked out there, what I would want to do is I would want to make sure that I was holding this on the table using a machine vise. So this is a machine vise here, and what we do is we put the wood in place and then we just tighten it up. So tightening that up to make sure that it's nice and tight and secure. That means that our hands are free, so our hands aren't going to be close to the drill bit, and we're not going to do ourselves any damage. Now at the moment you can see that the drill bit is just high enough off the wood to allow the wood to go underneath it. I want it to be just a wee bit higher, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust my table on the right hand side. So I'm sitting a couple of mil off the wood now, and now what I want to do is I want to tighten up my table on the left hand side to make sure that's totally secure and to make sure the table's not going to move. And it means that I can easily take my wood in and out because the drill bit's not touching the wood, but it also doesn't mean that it's so far off that I'm going to have to pull the handle round for ages before I actually meet my wood. So if I wanted to drill in that hole and I only wanted to go halfway through, what I've got to do is I've got to set the depth on the machine. Now at the moment, if I pull that down, you can see that the drill bit isn't even going halfway through. So on the left hand side here, if I just move the camera over for a wee second, on the left hand side we have got a depth stop up here. And what we have to do is we have to adjust that depth stop. So we can loosen off this top bit and lift that up and loosen the bottom bit, and then we want to tighten them together. So tighten them together, and now if we look at the depth of the drill and how far through it will go, you'll notice it will now go a lot further. So it's making sure that we set that at the correct depth. Since I've now got two hands to do this, I'm going to set this at the correct depth by holding the handle in position on the right hand side and just adjusting this on the left hand side. That's nice and tight and secure now, so I now know that I'm only going halfway through the wood. So at this stage I'm now ready to drill, so I just need to make sure that I do all my safety checks. So I've made sure that I've got my hair tied back, I've got my goggles on, or I will have them on in a wee minute. We're going to put the safety guard down to make sure everything's nice and protected there, to save anything coming off and hitting us in the eyes. And I'm just making sure that's nice and tight in the wee machine vise there as well. I'm going to line that up with the centre and make sure that I'm happy with everything. Everything's in the correct position. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on at the wall now that I know that everything is nice and safe. Now up at the top here, we have got the stop button and we've got the start button. So red to stop, green to start. However, the red button at the top just needs a wee twist to allow us to be able to start the machine. So if we just give that the slightest wee twist, so that's me just pushed it in. If we give it the slightest wee twist, it will release. And then we'll be able to press green, which will allow the machine to run. And then red to stop it. So again, because that button has been pressed in, I would need to release that to be able to use it as a drill. So what I can do now, put my goggles on, making sure that I'm holding on to the vise here, green to go, and I could just do a wee last check and just make sure that nothing's moved. Green to go, drill through my wood, lift that up again, and red to stop. Make sure that the drill bit has totally stopped before you move your wood out of there, just in case it catches. Now that it's totally stopped, I can move that out and I can adjust this, loosening that off so that I can take my wood out. Now if I wanted to drill holes in the end there, I'm going to have a bit of an issue just now, because one, how am I going to hold it, and two, how is it actually going to fit in place. What we would then need to do is we would need to adjust the table. So the table would need to go down a lot lower. So we'll loosen off on the left hand side. We would then adjust the table so that it goes all the way down, and this time the wood would be standing in the machine vise like that. So we're just going to lower that down to a point that we can actually fit that wood in. So just keep taking that down until your drill bit is below the piece of wood. So that's it below the wood there. And what I can do is I can tighten the table up on the left hand side, and then I can put my piece of wood into my machine vise to hold it for me again. Now what you might have noticed there is the handle just fell off on the pillar drill. For the sake of the video, I've left it just now. If it falls off in class, try putting it back on. If you struggle to put it back on, just make sure you speak to your teacher. So again, we want to check our depth. I should have had this machine turned off before I started adjusting anything, so just make sure it is turned off. Right, and we want to make sure that our depth is correct, so if we needed to adjust our depth, we can change that on the left hand side again. So that it's going through to the correct depth, and then again we're good to go, just making sure that's lined up with the centre in the right position. It's not touching the wood, although it looks as if it's touching the wood, it's not actually touching the wood at the moment. And then we just bring down our safety guard, we make sure we turn it on at the wall, goggles on again, just making sure that you're holding onto the vise to make sure that it doesn't move with any of the vibrations. Release the red button, green to go. Drill your hole, nice and slowly. Lift that back up again, don't move the piece of wood, just leave it in position. Red to stop, and that's that. Now when you're leaving the drill for somebody else to use, especially if you have lowered the table, you want to leave it in a usable position for the next person. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you turn this off at the wall. Just put this handle back on. Right, you want to obviously remove your wood and whatnot from it. Loosen the handle on the left hand side here, and then with the right hand handle, hopefully it'll not fall off this time, we'll make sure that we raise that back up again so it's in a position for other people to be able to use. And then last of all, what you want to do is you want to remove the drill bit, making sure the drill bit is left back in the drill holder at the side there to make sure that everybody can find it if they need it in the future. So lift up your guard is on springs, so you can lift that up, and then we're going to release the drill bit from the jaw. So we're going to go the opposite way to what we went the last time when we were tightening it up. So one hand on the bottom, one hand on the top, opposite directions, and the drill bit should just fall out. Okay, once that falls out, you're just going to lift that up and pop it back in the wee drill holder at the side there. And I think that's everything that you need to know about for the pillar drill. So just make sure that you're continually looking over this video to make sure that you know how to use this, so that when you're in class you can confidently use this and you're using it safely as well.